Ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, Kathy. Hi, Joe.
Hi.
Mark, how are you?
Oh, I'm so pleased to have you. Finally, apologies, work got in the way of our previous meeting, which I have to, I'm very sorry. We briefly caught up beforehand, which we thought, well, we best record this. But we're so pleased to be having you at the festival. I know that you travel here, there, and everywhere at various festivals around the world. So it's a great opportunity for us to see what you do. We're so excited that you're bringing a world premiere to us because that's part of what the festival's about. We encourage people to try new stuff out because we kind of want to go. We want to see things at the embryonic stage, not necessarily the polished finished article. Because I really like the you see where things, oh, this has potential to do this or that, and then it's nice to revisit it a few years on and kind of go, that's the decisions they made. So no, we're really pleased. I know Jen is a huge fan, so I know she's going to be delighted to share the city with you, as am I. So to crack into the first question, I asked this of our guests, what has inspired you? This can be a piece of improv theatre. It can be multiple things. In fact, it could be a piece of music, a piece of artwork. It can be something you saw in nature. What's inspired you? Not just in the 25, but give it a year. What's inspired you? What's the thing that's made you go, fill your heart with joy or horror or shock, but kind of go, that's brilliant.
Boy, there are 1,000 answers.
Yeah.
1,000, because I think one of the things that changed everything for us was starting to work with Gael last year. And I feel like he's taken us to another level because he's tapped into the things that we really like to do. And then we went to the Flock Festival in its first year. And that was the most mind-blowingly incredible improvised theater we've ever seen. Show after show after show. But I do have to mention one, and I can't even remember what the name of it is. But they had someone, the person who developed, devised the show, acted as a director in real time. And he had improvisers sitting in chairs on a stage. He had somebody drawing on a screen, so on an overhead projector that went onto a screen. He had musicians, he had dancers, and then he had the audience. And sometimes he would turn to the audience and make them do a sound or a phrase. And then he basically pointed to different parts of the conglomeration and had them interact or do something. And all of it fused together so that at many points you were just left with your jaw hanging and you wondered what the heck it was you were watching. You didn't know what it was, but you didn't care because it was brilliant. And I've never seen anything like it. I think that festival for us was eye-opening because it reminded us what we wanted to do from the beginning and what we want to concentrate on more than. We have found that we can do a lighter show. We did that at Birmingham and numerous other places. But that's fun. But it helped us rediscover the things that make us passionate. And now we feel like we're looking for ideas everywhere because it got awoken again. Yeah.
Yeah, that was so amazing about that show, and especially as Kathy mentioned, the one of the performers, if you will, who was working with basically drawing an artwork on a projector so that the audience could see it on a screen. And he would take those suggestions, start to draw and start to create art. And then the director would point to other people on the stage, and it would either be a spoken word, it would be dance, it would be music to go with it. And it was, as Kathy said, it was like nothing you've ever seen before, and you can't really give it a name, but you couldn't stop watching and listening and letting it wash over you because it was just so in intense, delightful, and completely original, like nothing I've ever seen before. And again, it was, all the credit to Gael and everybody at Flock for putting together a festival that had some of the most uniquely original shows I have ever seen in anything. It was an improv festival. It was a live theater immersive. It was mind stretching, imagination stretching work that made you think that, for all the great joy of whose line is it anyway, it made you realize above any other festival that we have been to this point in our lives, oh, it doesn't have to just be run and race to get to the funny line, because it was so clever and so witty from show over show. And as Kathy said, we really got back in touch with the kind of dramatic work we like to do. We've been blessed to work with some incredible coaches for the almost 7 years we've been together, from Lisa Fredrickson and Joe McGinley at Improv Theater in LA, to Gael, of course, Tony Relay in Chicago with the Theater Momentum, Chris Mead. We've just been so lucky to work with so many different types of coaches and philosophies and thought processes in improv that, we've now been able to create. I'd say we've got about 5 or 6 different types of shows, and we'd love to someday get it up to maybe 10 different types of shows that we can do at the drop of a dime. Because that really is what brings it alive, is being able to find something that's completely unique, that's enjoyable for you as a performer, enjoyable for the audience, and let it rip.
Yeah. Also, the Robin Hood Festival was
Yes.
also groundbreaking for us, because we both have taught before some theater stuff and some improv here. But Robin Hood had a last minute crisis, and I had to step in to do the ensemble, and it was 5 hours. And I had no notes with me, no anything. It was like it was 18 hours notice. And it really helped bring the confidence level soared, because somebody trusted. And I think that that's a big deal. There's been a lot of conversation online right now amongst improvisers, probably David Escobedo and his improv boost, but talking about how you have to give people who aren't necessarily the first ones you'll pick the opportunity to teach at some of these festivals, so that they become known too. And sometimes those new topics or new teachers will be just as entrancing, but the standbys fill up quickly. They're fabulous. I take them myself, but to be trusted by a festival director to do it without any preparation was fantastic. I want to say one more thing about Flock, which is why we also love Liverpool and why we are so excited. Imagine how many festivals give you 45 minutes to an hour to do a show and ask you what set you want. Almost never. Flock actually changed the set every time, moved the seating around. They gave a half an hour between every show, so it was kind of a lot of waiting around, but at the same time, everybody had their own set and their own thing. So they did an improvised Snowpiercer, transpersonnage in French, and they put the audience on both sides of what would have been the train track.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So when we saw that how much time we were getting for Liverpool, we thought, well, that's where we need to do a world premiere, because you want the time, the first time for sure, to give you to have the opportunity to present it in its best form. And you need time to do that if you're doing slow burn, which we do. Yeah. So it's not like the stories, which we do a lot. It's really one where you want to sink into it so that you've got room to grow throughout the show, as you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm a big fan of, as you've already previously described before we came on, of just giving time and space, and I'm a big believer in the ordinary becomes extraordinary if you allow it, and not having to force or chase the laugh, because I always think that if you chase something, it's a bit like it's a bit like a nervous dog. If you chase the laugh, the dog will run away. If you ignore it and you pretend it's not there, it will come to you. And that's the kind of thing of just patience and trusting your scene partner and trusting what's going to happen. And if it's funny, something emerges. If it doesn't matter. What you're fundamentally at the heart of it, you're looking to tell a story of a relationship in whatever way that is. And that's my theatrical background. And it's not to say I don't like short and funny.
No.
But at the same time, I don't think there is. Perhaps, I mean, it's really interesting that short form seems to have fallen off festival, or I won't say fallen off, but there's less representation of that. So we've tried to do have more short form this year at the festival. So we have a mixed bag. We always like to take risks on things where you kind of go, that's a bit unusual. Last year we had 4 hours of improvised durational dance that was done on a pole. We always like to try and throw a curveball in there. We had a professional full, Joe Tramarco in year 1. So really in the beginning, I really wanted to set up, and I said this to Oliver last night, on Monday, I really wanted to set up a festival of spontaneity as opposed to improvisation, which then implies it's kind of either haha, we'll move on to the next quick funny, or this, so maybe I might be able to, we'll change the title of the festival, maybe. But certainly things that are slightly more left field. But how you described that piece of work to me is almost like that. This is almost like orchestral, like a visual and verbal orchestra that is in sync and everybody's up for playing. That's amazing. It sounds that sounds amazing. So I am going to go and do. Yeah,
I'm glad you said it that way, Mark. I mean, that's one of the joys about a lot of the wonderful festival stuff that we have seen, and I have to say, a great portion of that has been on our appearances at European festivals.
Yes.
It's far more open to that kind of concept than a lot of the festivals in the US. The Chicago one is a dramatic one. Improv LA is dramatic. A lot of places tend not to be. But what you describe is such a rich, organic type of show where, I mean, improv in nature should be organic anyway, because it's being made up on the spot. There is no written script that you've rehearsed for 4 weeks and blocked with a director and tech people. It's truly organic. But the type of thing we do is such a different type of immersive organic theater, and that we have seen so often in Sweden and in Oslo at Flock, at Robin Hood. It's not, I don't want to say visceral because it's more than just that, but it really gets to the heart and soul of each person on stage and in the show as it's being created in the moment, minute over minute until the end. And I think it makes it for a more lively type of show for the audience.
Yeah, I'd agree, because the idea of light and shade in a festival, and that's what we try to plan, is that we don't tend to put stuff that's similar back to back, because you want to have an ebb and flow in terms of what people might see and experience, because we've had shows that I think you may have seen, did you see Owen Scriven's show Living Dying Dead that Jen?
Yes, twice.
We had that in 2023 when we first opened the festival, and so we have, but obviously we didn't want to put something that's similar in tone next to it, so it's finding that ebb and flow, and obviously giving space, because it's a very powerful piece of work. I absolutely adored it. But Owen's coming this year to run our jam, which happens on the Friday night. So, and then Owen's going to be one of the ensemble members for Taxi Tales.
Well, we're going to be there almost the entire week. We have to leave on Sunday. We have to leave on Sunday, but we're gonna, so I'm really excited because it sounds like an amazing run of shows. And Liverpool, we've been to Bristol, we've been to Nottingham, we've been to London, but we haven't been to Liverpool. So the whole idea, I mean, obviously Joe's gonna love it because his teams are there. This is a guy who has Well, you can see he's got sports memorabilia all the way around his walls. They're Boston, but this is the guy who loves sports and watches it. And there are so many times when I can hear the in the background, "Score!" And that's the European games. So I think, okay.
I'll also if you're around, Joe, I'll drive you past the new Everton ground, which is just stunning. It looks like
their new stadium, yeah.
It looks like a spaceship has landed next to the Mersey, which is phenomenal. Well, just pack sort of trainers or walking shoes or whatever, because Liverpool's a walking city. You can get anywhere when you're in the centre. You can get anywhere within 20 minutes of walking. So, and it's not too hilly, so you can get plenty of steps in.
And Nottingham is hilly.
Yeah, no, yeah, it is far more than Liverpool. Ours is a gentle slope down to the river, and then if you get to the river, that's it. You're yeah. But one of the bonuses of Liverpool, kind of post 70s, was it became a city where loads of people left because there was no work. No one really wanted to develop here, so none of the buildings got knocked down, which in lots of places happened. So we've got some amazing architecture. Because it was basically saved because no one didn't have the money or I didn't want to knock anything down. So we were very fortunate. It's a very old city, and very beautiful in lots of ways. When the sun hits the sandstone, the city glows. It is very beautiful. And we're also blessed between so where the theatre is, it's on a place called Hope Street, and it's between the Catholic Cathedral and the Anglican Cathedral down one road. So you're literally it's very the Catholic Cathedral is known as Paddy's Wigwam because it looks like a tent, and it's a sort of very 60s, but it's surrounded in 360 degrees, pretty much all stained glass. So if it's a sunny day, go in there, and it's just the most beautiful thing you could have possibly imagine.
Wow.
And in the other cathedral, in the gardens, is which I always love taking people to see, is the first train accident victim. So, yeah, the original rocket. Well, someone was killed with the rocket, and they are buried in the gardens there in this really big mausoleum. So there's loads of really good stuff to kind of go see. Where John and Stuart Sutcliffe lived on Gambia Terrace, which is walking distance from the venue. They used to overlook the cathedral, and both of them were only completed in sort of about 30 years ago, 40 years ago.
Wow.
They're stunning. They're literally within 5-minute walk from one end of the street to the other end of the street. You've got these two stunning cathedrals. So, and they're free.
Mark, I wanted to ask you, how's the music scene? I mean, obviously, going back to the Mersey beats and all that, but I mean, how is the music scene now?
It's very healthy. I mean, everybody plays an instrument, and there is so many open. Every bar will have a band playing live. Most nights of the week. There's a great place that both Jen and I go to, and it's got rehearsal studios there called the Arts Bar, and that is a kind of 4 young lads in fact, they're on my drama course, set up this bar called the Arts Bar, and there's artwork which you can buy. There's rehearsal studios, recording studios, and they've gradually built it over time. They've opened a second bar called Arts Bar Baltic, which does amazing food. So there's a real healthy scene in terms of music, spoken word poetry. Depends which night of the week you go, but you can go for an Irish folk night. There's all sorts.
That's
literally
cool.
You can kind of go wherever and find stuff. And most of it, in bars, it's all free, so you just get to sit in, have a drink, have a listen. If it gets too noisy, you go somewhere else. So, out of all of your travels around Europe, what's the thing that you've kind of gone, I've never seen this at another festival, and I think other festivals should adopt it? So I'll give you an example. Lee Apsey, who went to Oslo, I can't remember what it's called, but said they had in their bar a little tiny stage block, and you could sign up and you could just do 5 minutes solo in the bar, improv in the bar, which is something that we are looking to bring in this year. So I was like, I really like that idea. It's so simple. You could invite a performer that you may have seen to come on and do a two-prov with you, or you could do a solo piece. It's completely up to you. So that's one of the ideas that I'm trying to adopt and trying to persuade the venue to incorporate. What's something that you've seen or experienced that you kind of went, that's really thoughtful, or that really added something different? Basically, I'm stealing other people's ideas here. But
yeah, why not?
What's something that you went, that's really cool?
Well, I think ImprompTwo one day, sort of, they call it a carnival. It's a little bit of a misnomer, but it's kind of fun, where in the afternoon on the Saturday, they have 1 hour or half hour or 20-minute little mini workshops. And you can go and get teasers. So it's kind of fun because nothing takes a lot of time and you can zip from one to the other. So Joe was doing a voice workshop, and then and while he was doing that, I was, you know, drawing in another room. They also had crafts and things. So it was a just for fun, and a way for somebody to try a little something without making a big commitment to a whole afternoon. And you could leave, come and go whenever you wanted. There was no sign up. You just showed up. And it felt very kind of joyful is maybe the word, because you have a lot of stress when you're performing until you're over. And even at least I do. And then I also feel like, because Joe and I are both kind of introverts naturally, and so even when you go and you just watch a show, you feel a little bit like you have to be on because you're with all your friends and you've got to meet them afterwards and talk, and then you go to this thing that's just, let's have fun. Oh, I also love I love Terria's big day out. It's so fun. You just go out to you walk, you take a train, you get off, you walk up a hill, and they've got a fire set in the middle of the woods with hot dogs and singing and whatever. It's just let's just get away from everything for a few hours. It was a blast, and we're looking forward to it again.
Yeah, Jen and Ryan told me about that.
Yeah,
Ryan was going, I'm going to a cabin in the middle of nowhere with somebody, just to go out into nature, and he's really looking forward to that part of the trip. So I was like, so what a great idea, you know, just kind of take yourself out of that pressure cooker or powder keg and kind of go and take yourself off and relax and chill.
I'm sure it was great for the organizers, because nothing was expected that day. You just, you know, carry your logs so we can have the fire, and everybody took a log. It was fun. Joe, I don't know if you have.
And what's great about that, and more, it really just builds such a very lovely sense of community, such a nice way to just be with everybody else from the festival, where, you know, one of the things that, you know, with a lot of actors I know, they're like, when they get together, they'll enjoy and never once talk about what show they're in or what they're doing. They're just enjoying actually being away from it.
Yeah.
Even though they're immersed in the middle of it. And that's what that was. It's just a great way to be with everybody and have fun and not worry about anything and get to know everybody a little better. And not every festival gets the opportunity to do that. And, you know, hopefully more will, or think of it as a great idea. And yeah.
We should mention Countdown.
Yes.
Countdown Festival in Tampa. I think they are the great communicators. Now, you and Jen are right up there. But they do something prior to the festival. They have monthly Zoom meetings that they call cocktail hour, and anybody can join on these. And it's basically introducing yourselves. Then sometimes they ask a question that everybody gets to answer, kind of like Joe Bill's story chain, except it's everybody. And they talk about what's going to happen. And if anybody's asking the kind of things that you're asking, you know, you share it, so that when you get to the festival, you've actually no faces, which was really cool. And not a lot of work, because you're basically just saying, hey, we're going to do this at 7 o'clock and everybody can come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Justin
love
and Kelly
that.
are fantastic at building the community like that. They really are.
Yeah.
I really like that. I really like that a lot.
Plus the green room with all the snacks.
Yeah.
They just fill it. They don't even try to be PC. They fill it with junk food.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. They have a line budget item to fill the green room with chocolate and gummies and all those sorts of things, and it gets cleaned out. So everyone thinks it's so good.
Oh, yeah. It's not about what's good for you. The National Institute of Health would have a coronary walking in there and seeing everything in the green room, but
yeah,
performers love it.
I've had a coronary, so you know, I'm now no longer allowed to have any of that stuff. So it would make me very jealous. So I'd be like that, kind of going, yeah, everyone else is having sweets, and I've just got to have, healthy stuff for my heart. Cool. Okay, so finally, what's the thing that you're kind of, obviously you've mentioned that you've been to a number of different cities and in terms of Europe. Obviously Joe's excited about seeing some sports stadium. Is there anything you've seen on the bill that you kind of go, oh, that's really interesting, I really want to catch that show? So if people weren't familiar with the programming, what's the thing that's caught your eye that potentially you kind of go, oh, I really want to catch that show, or I'd recommend these because I've seen these before? What would be the thing that you'd kind of go, oh, that's interesting?
I'm going to say something that we often say, which is that what we love about festivals that have one venue is that everybody gets to see everything. And I quite like the idea of not having to choose and coming in there and being surprised. Now, School of Night, their reputation precedes them, even though I don't think we've seen them. So that kind of, my eyes lit up. But really, in fact, we are often sorry that we can't perform and watch the show opposite us at the same time when there's double venues. And Countdown has 3, which makes it just nuts. But and I highly don't recommend that, because there's serious FOMO when you've got too many venues. But we tend to kind of go in with an open mind to everything, because you never know when that one little thing is going to pique your fancy. You know, I can't, when you talk about inspiration, we were in a workshop and the instructor said something about broken dolls. Well, that's going to be a new format that we're going to work on for an ensemble, because that line stuck with me. So I think I'd love to be able to give you specifics, because I was looking at it just a couple of nights ago, but I really don't want to, because I think it's important when you go to a festival. Yes, it's all about support. You should be watching other people's shows for as long as you can be there. Not everyone can be every day for everything. I mean, that's practical. When we travel over to Europe, we can't always go for the whole week. But the fact that you go in and you say, okay, I haven't seen this before, but let's see. And then sometimes that's your favorite show because you didn't know what you were going to get into.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Joe? Yeah.
Yeah, I think a couple of things. I'll just to reiterate what Kathy said. When it's wonderful to be able to see everybody that you can, because it's really in one location. We've had, even at just last month at the Miami Improv Festival, we missed a lot of our friends. Yes, we have seen them in the past, maybe the year before or the year before that, doing similar types of shows. So we've seen them, but knowing that we're on stage at one point, and 2 very dear friends of ours from Los Angeles were over doing a show on the other stage, and we're like, we don't want to miss you guys. But unfortunately, nobody's figured out how to clone improvisers so they can perform and see their friends at the same time on a different stage. But I would say just looking forward to pretty much how different and dynamic and original everybody is going to be at this festival, which again, and I'm not knocking the American festivals or fellow American performers, but what we've seen in the European festivals is uniquely different and daring.
Supportive and welcoming too, right?
Yeah.
And what we do is not always, they don't know what to do with us in a number of festivals here, because, you know, even when we do narrative, it's not a laugh a minute. So there have been festivals we know we have not been accepted to because we're not comedy. And so it's really interesting to go to a place where you feel very welcomed and supported and encouraged to do more. I think the other thing is that I really love when someone says to me, or when I see a group online that's marketing themselves and being able to say, oh my God, we saw them at Liverpool. You guys have got to go out. I think that's our job, quite frankly, to do that. And I like it when people do it for us, and I love it when we can do it for others. And because marketing improv is hard.
Yeah, I know.
We have played to nobody, you know, we've done that and said, and we've and 4 and 10, you know. So when you can do anything you can, and it's free to support somebody. So I don't want to sound like a bleeding heart. I just feel like Joe and I both have marketing communications backgrounds, so we believe in this. We're all in this together, because nobody's making a living out of just improv. And and so if at the least is,
it's definitely
at least get bums in the seats, you know, at least do that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'd like to just thank you so much, Kathy, and so much, Joe. Thank you for your insight and your thoughts and your inspirations for tonight. It was such a joy to meet you, and I can't wait to see From Dusk Till Dawn, which is on at the Unity Theatre on the 26th of April at 2:40 p.m. Tickets are available from the Unity website. And just once again, thank you so much for such a delightful evening.
Thank you for inviting us.
Looking forward to seeing everybody.
Yeah, and boy, we need to do a meal or a drink or something when we're there.
We'll definitely do that.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah!